let's talk about something big that just happened in Hollywood. Disney's brand new Snow White movie didn't do well at all in theaters. In fact, it might be one of the biggest movie failures in recent years. This is a big surprise because Snow White is one of Disney's most famous and loved fairy tales of all time. People had really high hopes for this movie, but when it finally came out, things didn't go as planned. So what went wrong? In the first weekend after it was released, the movie made about $43 million at the box office. Now, that might sound like a lot of money, but for a huge Disney film with a big budget, it wasn't enough. Many people thought it would make way more. Even worse, in just the second weekend, ticket sales dropped by almost 70%. That means a lot fewer people wanted to see it after the first few days. Many theaters were nearly empty. Some fans even posted pictures of empty movie theaters online to show how bad it was. After 2 weeks, the total money made around the world was just over $120 million, which still didn't meet the huge expectations Disney had. For a company like Disney, which usually makes hit after hit, this was a big deal. They spent a lot of money making the movie, but they didn't earn much of it back. And it's not just about the money. The movie also got really bad reviews. On IMDb, a website where people rate movies, Snow White got a rating of only 1.6 out of 10. That's really low, especially for a Disney movie. Over 160,000 people rated it, and most of them didn't like it at all. Some even called it one of the worst Disney movies ever made. When a movie scores that low, it's a clear sign that audiences are not happy. People were especially upset with how the story was changed from the original version. A lot of longtime fans felt that the magic of the classic tale was lost. Others thought the movie focused too much on modern ideas and not enough on good storytelling. Many fans just wanted a fun, magical movie like the one they grew up with. This failure has caused a lot of people to talk about what Disney should do next. Should they keep remaking classic stories with new twists? Or should they stick to what worked in the past? Right now, it seems like audiences want movies that respect the original story and keep the heart of the characters we all know and love. In the end, Disney's Snow White remake was a big risk, and it didn't pay off. It's now being called a major box office disappointment, and it may even affect what kinds of movies Disney makes in the future. Now let's talk about one of the main stars of the movie, Rachel Zegler, and how she's reacting to everything going on with the new Snow White. Rachel was chosen by Disney to play the lead role in this remake. You might know her from her role in West Side Story. She's young, talented, and has a strong fan base. But ever since the new Snow White came out, Rachel has been at the center of a huge controversy. Fans started calling her out even before the movie was released. A lot of people were unhappy with things she said in interviews. Rachel talked about how she and the filmmakers were changing the story to make Snow White more independent. She said that in this version, Snow White doesn't need a prince to save her. While some fans liked that idea, others felt like it was too much of a change from the classic fairy tale. When the movie started doing badly in theaters, many people blamed Rachel. Social media was full of posts saying that she was one of the reasons the movie failed. But instead of staying quiet or taking any responsibility, Rachel decided to speak out. She said the movie didn't do well because of other reasons, like bad marketing or confusion caused by another version of Snow White coming out at the same time. That version stars Brett Cooper, who has very different views from Rachel and is known for being more traditional. Rachel also blamed some of the online criticism on people misunderstanding her. She said she was just trying to bring a fresh take to an old story. But her comments didn't sit well with everyone. Many fans felt like she wasn't listening to the real concerns or owning up to her part in the movie's failure. Instead, she pointed fingers at other people and projects. Things got even more tense when people noticed that Rachel and Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, didn't seem to get along very well. They were hardly ever seen together during the press tour. And when they were, they didn't interact much. Fans started wondering if there was some kind of drama between them. Then, another layer was added when it came out that Rachel and Gal have very different views on real-world topics, especially about the conflict between Israel and Palestine. That made things even more complicated and led to even more arguments online. All of this created a lot of pressure for Rachel. She's now facing strong criticism not just for her role in the movie, but for how she's handled the public reaction. Some people are now asking if this will hurt her chances of getting more big movie roles in the future. Still, Rachel has continued to stand by her opinions. She believes that changing classic stories is important and says that she wanted this new Snow White to reflect today's world. Whether you agree with her or not, there's no question that her comments and actions have had a big impact on how people see the film and on how it performed at the box office. In the end, Rachel Zegler is in a tough spot. She wanted to make a bold statement with her version of Snow White, but many fans felt like it didn't work. Now, people are watching closely to see what she'll do next and how she'll bounce back from all the controversy. While Disney's Snow White remake starring Rachel Zegler was making headlines for all the wrong reasons, another version of the fairy tale was quietly grabbing attention, and this one is turning out to be very different. This other version is being made by Brett Cooper, and it's called Snow White and the Evil Queen. Even though it hasn't come out yet, it's already stirring up a lot of buzz in Hollywood and online. So, who is Brett Cooper? Brett Cooper is a rising actress and a media personality. She's known for sharing her opinions on culture, politics, and entertainment, and she works with a company called The Daily Wire, which is known for making movies that don't include a lot of modern political messages. That's what makes her version of Snow White stand out. Brett says her film will stay true to the original story that fans have loved for generations. That means a focus on kindness, inner beauty, love, and a classic fairy tale ending, the kind of story that people remember from the 1937 Disney movie. Instead of changing the plot to fit modern ideas, Brett Cooper is going back to the roots of the tale. In interviews, she said that her version will have a clear message that stays close to the original values of the fairy tale. There won't be any big changes to the characters or the storyline just to match trends. She wants to tell the story the way it was meant to be told, as a magical adventure that teaches timeless lessons. This approach has made her version very popular with fans who were disappointed by Disney's version. Many of them feel like Hollywood keeps changing classic stories too much. They say these changes take away the heart of what made the story special in the first place. So when Brett announced her project, a lot of people were excited. Finally, a version that respects the original. But not everyone agrees. Some critics have said that this is just a reaction to Disney's film and that Brett's movie is part of a bigger debate about what kind of stories should be told in movies today. There's even a bit of a rivalry now between fans of Rachel Zegler and fans of Brett Cooper. Each side believes their version of Snow White is better and more true to what audiences want. Even though Brett's movie hasn't been released yet, it's already being seen as a symbol of traditional storytelling. Supporters say it's a breath of fresh air in an industry that often puts messages before story. They like that it feels more focused on fun, fantasy, and adventure, the way fairy tales were always meant to be. It's also important to mention that Brett Cooper's casting shocked a lot of people in the entertainment world. Many didn't expect her to take on such a well-known role like Snow White. But so far, she's proving that she can bring something new and respectful to the table. Some people believe that this version might become more popular than Disney's if it connects better with fans. It's already gaining support from people who say they miss the magic and wonder of older fairy tales. They want to see movies that make them feel good and remind them of the stories they grew up with. In the end, Brett Cooper's Snow White and the Evil Queen is about more than just one movie. It's part of a larger conversation about what audiences want and don't want from modern Hollywood. Will it be a hit? That's still to be seen, but one thing is clear. This version of Snow White is making a big impression, and fans are paying attention. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Disney's Snow White wasn't just one movie that didn't do well. It might actually change how big movie studios make films in the future. That's right, the failure of this one film is starting a much larger conversation in Hollywood about what kinds of stories people really want to see. Right now, a lot of movies try to follow trends. That means they focus on popular ideas, current issues, and modern-day messages. Some films include changes to classic stories so they can seem more up-to-date. Sometimes these changes work, but sometimes, like with Snow White, they don't. In this case, many fans felt like the story was changed too much. They said it didn't feel like the Snow White they knew and loved. Instead of focusing on a magical, heartwarming adventure, they said the movie felt more like a lecture than entertainment. Because of this, movie experts and fans are wondering, are audiences getting tired of movies with too many changes and messages? Many people are now saying that Hollywood needs to listen more carefully to the audience. After all, movies are made for the people watching them. If fans are walking out of theaters or not buying tickets at all, something is clearly not working. The reaction to Snow White is making studios ask themselves an important question. Should we keep trying to change old stories, or should we just tell them the way they were meant to be told? Some film experts believe this failure is a warning sign. They say studios can't just depend on a famous brand like Disney or a well-known story like Snow White to make a movie successful. They need to make sure the story is strong, the characters are likable, and that it feels fun and magical, the way fairy tales are supposed to feel. The other big issue is trust. When audiences feel like studios are using their favorite characters and stories just to push certain ideas, they lose trust in those studios. And once that trust is gone, it's hard to get it back. That's what many people think is happening with Disney right now. On the other hand, movies like Brett Cooper's upcoming Snow White and the Evil Queen are gaining support because they seem more focused on telling a classic story. A lot of fans say that they just want to escape into a good movie. They don't want to feel like they're being taught a lesson or being told how to think. This whole situation is a big deal for actors, too. If a movie does badly, it can hurt the careers of the people involved. Actors like Rachel Zegler, who starred in Disney's version, are now facing tough questions. Studios might be more careful about hiring actors who are seen as controversial. They want to make sure their movies succeed, and they're starting to realize that the people they cast and how those actors behave in public really matter. At the same time, new stars like Brett Cooper are getting noticed because they represent a different kind of movie, one that focuses more on tradition, storytelling, and fun. Some people think this could open the door for a new wave of family-friendly films that feel more like the ones we grew up watching. In the end, the failure of Snow White might turn out to be a good thing, not for Disney, but for the future of movies. It's a wake-up call, a signal that audiences are ready for stories that respect the originals and bring back the magic that made them special in the first place. Hollywood is listening. And if studios want to keep fans happy and keep making money, they may need to go back to the basics. Good characters, great stories, and a little bit of fairy tale wonder. Let's wrap things up by looking at why Snow White has become more than just a movie. Right now, there's a big debate going on in the world of entertainment, and it's all about how old fairy tales should be told today. Should studios stick to the original stories, or should they change them to match modern ideas? This question is causing a lot of arguments online, especially after the drama around Disney's Snow White remake. Fairy tales like Snow White have been around for hundreds of years. They're stories many of us grew up with. Tales about good and evil, kindness, bravery, and happy endings. But in recent years, some studios have started changing these stories to reflect things happening in today's world. They might add new messages, take out certain parts, or change characters to make them more modern. Some people think this is a good thing. They say it helps old stories feel fresh and relevant for a new generation. But not everyone agrees. A lot of fans believe that these classic stories should be left alone. They say changing the plot, characters, or lessons in the story takes away what made them special in the first place. With Disney's remake of Snow White, many people felt like the story was changed too much. They missed the old version, the one with the singing dwarfs, the sweet princess, and the brave prince. Fans said it didn't feel like the Snow White they knew and loved. This has turned into a much bigger debate about Hollywood and what kinds of movies people want to see. On one side, there are people who like seeing new versions of old stories with updated themes. On the other side, there are fans who want to keep the magic and charm of the originals. Neither side is completely wrong. It just shows how different people want different things from the movies they watch. Social media has made this debate even louder. Platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram are filled with posts, videos, and fan edits from both sides. Some people are defending Rachel Zegler's version, while others are cheering for Brett Cooper's upcoming film. Each actress has become a kind of symbol for these two sides, Rachel representing modern changes, and Brett standing for classic storytelling. What's really interesting is how much power the fans have now. Their voices, especially online, can make or break a movie. If they don't like what a studio is doing, they'll speak out. They'll make videos, leave reviews, and sometimes even stop going to the movies. This is why so many studios are paying close attention to what fans are saying about Snow White. This discussion goes way beyond just one movie. It's about what kinds of stories will be told in the future, and who gets to decide how they're told. Will Hollywood keep changing classic tales, or will they go back to simpler, timeless versions that made audiences fall in love with them in the first place? At the heart of it, people still love fairy tales. They want magic, adventure, and a happy ending. They want stories that feel familiar and comforting, especially in today's fast-changing world. And whether it's the original Snow White or a new take on the tale, fans are hoping that future versions will capture the same wonder they felt when they first heard these stories as kids. And there you have it, the full story behind the Snow White drama, from Rachel Zegler's response to Brett Cooper's Rising version, and how it's shaking up the entire movie industry. This isn't just about one film anymore. It's about what audiences want, what Hollywood is doing, and where the future of storytelling is headed. Whether you're team classic or team modern, one thing's for sure, fans are making their voices heard like never before.